October. Probably older than Todd Colby. A language unto its own. Table moved a circle to the middle of the triangle. I like its wine there and capitalized disputes within the system of what were we talking about? Buildings, air seen in forms of repose. What else is there? DNA re-encoding its proteins, events revising of our identities. Truth is something you say, or the way a sister handles a kitchen, knowing you're in the guest room, as example. The lag of vision and its realization. Days, you get a bunch of them, so change is gradual and can be acclimated to. Effort is the earning of rightful spoils, and none more so the world and its lives. We slept into it, even as its having presence. The watermelons sleep and they grow. The opportunity keeps presenting itself, one thing after another. Some things were meant to happen, then they don't. What are those moments for? Ones that got away, but you witnessed them, felt an urge, heart bulged and sat back, and that action, the sketchwork of conjecture, a kind of fulfillment, life well spent in chemical ether. These were the internal fantasies accompanied the inert reality. It doesn't feel that unimportant to be making content no one's looking at. A notebook's revelation if it keeps. Writings worth noting appended on the personality. They call Paul Blart Mall Cop a factory of sadness. They're not wrong. Maybe a garden should be everything in it. Composition's rowdy tumult. Nice walk to pick up a sandwich. You needn't think before you leap into the pillowy continuum. Your words are removing words the way their words removed former words. Patience is mounting the Henry Miller book about Rimbaud. Open labyrinth is one name for it, this outward listing form. Dinner at Little Dokeby. Everybody picnics at McGolrick. It's where you've earned your trees. Thinks of something she said 5 months ago. Baudelaire all over the nightfall, the light being torn down and a new light installed in its place. Told me on the phone she was going to work for me to get off till she ate, but she couldn't anymore. Dee's reading beautiful losers he found on the street and looking for a pen name. Mine looks more and more correct every year. Waiting for you to come home from work in your bed. Your books are very sexy, your hanging shoe rack too. Art therapists often match with me. If you like this afternoon, you may want to try this evening. Amateur Shakespeareans at work and play. Achieve love by avoiding it, purposefully overlooking and so coaxing the actual into play. You were there and right by her side as she arrived, dropped in 6 months or so, and now we wake into droplets of snow, a puffy amnesia of clouds. They cup me as I sleep and draw a diary around the lanky frame of the hours. Silt transpired prosaically as a soft cat mounted on your chest. Ruby-dipped vegetables don't ever go full parsnip. Sweet potato, taro, cassava. After paying $4.49 for gingerade kombucha, not even a preferred flavor, I see at the next bodega they have my favorite multigreen for $2.99. Death is what it's about when it's not about anything else. Let this pertain to optimum zeitgeist. Just ask the precautionary measures tagged in a photo of the mass shooting. She eavesdrops like a pro stylist, leaning into the rigmarole. It pays dividends, meaning odd music when it should be modal. Tones sprouting out of their sprouting, a fountain plunged in the surge, fountains founting founts, the founts found within the fount of founts, dialogue but not what it means, conversations overrides, as it must always be happening. Would you rather be anywhere in the world than this speech right now? Oh, election night weather, it's like Christmas for no one, and everybody gets drab from here on out. My boss on the phone says he is the problem. Very perceptive. Racism is a tactic used by the owners to devise the underclass against itself, and it's an aesthetic distinction, at heart empty, basic as all things communicable to the wide mass, vacant signifiers uncrinkled by nuance, unspecific in meaning, just big shapes, colors. Ask the rural believer the content of the word, nothing more than the power of faith. The symbol is its own reward. Why not living in a sharing? I give what I have, you do same. A book you've been wanting to read, borrow it from my hand. Property is murder, the plant goes on forever. We can visit its scenery in equal casual holidays. Big money bullies the smaller man. A president elects himself to pile more budget on higher budget. You should print the store. New marquee means new menu means new money. Jobless reticence against the business. Don't involve me, I don't want to. Where's the place for non-amortized living? Did Tom Petty die or did Tom Petty not die? Did the bastards with their killing? She's poor and owns exactly as many clones as she needs to get through the year's appointments. Pencil skirt for ice cream social. No new sandals but these old platforms worn to the cardboard at the big toe. Black raincoat got a lot of mileage since 7th grade. Sweaters, belts, tops, dresses, corduroys, blouses, worn thin. Grown into at 12, worn unto death. A poor person measures out its pennies. This is most everybody. The coats are laminated and we're lucky to be there. The smart educated straining to save the dumb on fat man's epic drift about it. Recalled E. coli. Treat the guns, the soda, the shoe, the food, the ad, all product corporations and economic transducers like the tobacco, killing the earth and its animals and its peoples. We don't need it, we have enough. Let me live in a tent with a soft blanket. Let me sift into the ambiguity. It is so nice. It is so wakeful. I look for intimacy in passers-by and hurt when neglected. Meaning to get Amiri Baraka's transbluency, currently taking a hard look at John Godfrey, Ted Greenwald, which is really self-conscious glamorization of himself. If you're a good writer, will people like you? I write too fast and on to the next. Unsure if calling the reading speed orgy was a good idea. Hard to know how to talk and what there is to say. Whitest in the land of plenty. What's gentrification but sanctioned displacement, discreet financial genocide of the neighborhoods? A culture's a culture, the poorer the better. The educated world elite have no problem taking Bed-Stuy. Muna Mira says she's romantic about California the way she once was about New York City. How many times can you be young? I plan to go there and keep coming back. A booth is a good framing device for a bunch of other shit. Heard you read emo at the foot of the space bar. If you got an advanced proof of someone's book, you're almost friends with them. Gasoline smells like childhood. I too polluted a bird. Agenda of loafing, lazing, looking, thinking, talking, laughing, listening, considering, walking, riding, touching, sleeping, laying, lying, sitting, running, climbing, breathing, playing, singing, waving, standing, watching, holding, being, loving, dying. Agenda of universal basic income so I can have mine. Jail the sociopaths, kill the alphas. The only crime is not caring about life. Append value to carrying activities. They already are valuable, only no dollar amount attached. Growing a tree, cultivating a garden, comforting a friend, sowing peace and concord, having a casual chat with a neighbor. These are worth a few dollars apiece. Why is monetary definition only accorded the tangible object, the accredited service? Why not the act of love, the selfless moment people want to give? Every tragedy the heart of the public offers itself to its suffering fellows. It is only our owner manipulators convince us otherwise, that we are isolated, malignant, hateful, and turned against one another. Why base our behavioral structure on competition at this plentiful time in human development? Machines poised to assume the underclass's burden of hard labor? Can't we base our choices on cooperation, consensus? Surely these are as human as any posits us animal. Darwin's principle is not survival of the strongest, but survival of the fittest. What fits our successfully tamed and domesticated urban natural realm, the qualities of benevolent co-authorship of the world with what we cannot own, desire not to own at all, but share, and offer a life of free, varied experience, travel, cultivation, appreciation, leisure, knowledge, pleasure, freedom, comfort to all living beings. There being no work the worker need be put to, there being no need to force the worker in effort towards nothing. Give the worker their benefits and daily needs provided by non-sentient artificial labor, and let them live their peaceful exploration of our easy-growing planet. Travelers, free to traverse what's shared, these lands, these waters, these open skies, home to all if home to even one. Let's break down the lines of property and belong to each other once and for all. Borrowed a couple of your books. Fiona Apple duetting St. Vincent at Marfa. Rent is like a boot. House arrest, more or less. Speaker of ignorant privilege. America the land of unspecified war. 50 plus killed in mass shooting. Actively avoid friends I run into on the street, and that's why this. Showed up in his snap. Just listening to Luke Owen and this girl's skull explodes next to me. Will this change my life? Society hates its artists, so how do they do it? It's a bird doesn't know it's flying. Only thing that makes them feel they're not wasting their time. Greg Masters was reading Neruda to see how he did it. Shakespeare was 1/3 political, 1/3 tragic, 1/3 comic. All great poets war with the state. It's their monotonous opposition, apathetic in influence. Friends with the kids of the bourgeois, or somewhat proximal beneficiary by their placement at brunch. We are carried to be lucky by a boss who picks up the check. We are supposed to love them for that, but it's their fault we can't afford this restaurant to begin with. The government squeezes them and spend it before they take it away is the reason this restaurant exists. Taxes and expense accounts as justifications for the otherwise unprodded indulgence of the owning class. A black Amex is a broadsword. It goes through the credit card reader like an axe. Luckier servants of the serving class, how to benefit from the healthy thought patterns of the unpunished aristocracy, forcing the other to its knees. The children of NYC seem naive in their purity. Any job was an experience, non-foundational. You'd lose it and it'd still be there the next day. If you bought the farm in Arkansas, your parents would buy it right back. Slowly, as years develop, they are taught by elder refugees whole what they are listening to when they're alone. Philosophical doctrine of the pauper unculpable. Being poor is guiltless. You suffer your innocence in hopes of being taken up. This planet could go either way, depending. There's a panorama of tragedy occurring through the window, and no one speaking to it. Time to be anything less than grandiloquent is out. This seems odd but necessary. The working are working their voices, the voices. Now it is the open secret, and I can cope with it. A man's collar and jacket do a quick scene about labor ethics. They want minutes cumulative over a year, which is like impossible to think about and probably the reason you're sick. It's taking the crumbs to put together a cookie. Here you go, eat this. It's insulting. I'm on my phone out the window gazing, 3:30 p.m. and the day's already gotten away. Maybe now is the time of labor politics. A fissure opens and let's give the people a crack. Then most wouldn't know what to do with themselves, eat and watch TV, get into trouble. They lack the creativity to come up with a daily life. You just want to get out of doing anything. It automatically switches you off. Not my creative friends. Maybe they could handle it. The average person, nah. I'm not so sure. I think that's part of the thinking. We need to awaken. Maybe they're distant to it right now, but if they start eating well, reading, meditating, walking, not working, maybe they'll turn back on. Work is a bore. It drills you till you don't know anything else. A vacation's 2 weeks pause in a deck chair, toes in the sand as the saying goes. TV's what shores up the off hours. That's what labor is. Lack of imagination. There's more creative to do than earn. I could tell she was getting uneasy. Nobody likes this commie talk. I try to make it sound as pleasant as possible. Has she ever thought I have anything worth saying? Tom Waits say reality is for people who can't face drugs. Speaking of which, I need to go do some. Wonder if I could just film this. Cause some kind of First Amendment stir, brew a career out of obscenity choices. A film has people, not just buildings. Or maybe she lost the kid. I say good riddance, that's worth $1 billion. Tom Petty died twice yesterday. I took what you said and used it in a conversation with someone else. Nothing disciplined, nothing gained. Open the new anthology calendar and they've got exactly the movies I need. Brackage, retrospective, rare Meekus in celebration of his 95th, series on wealth and film. It was film's material rarity that made it precious. The forward step also goes backwards, seeing something we do involuntarily. Cinema is dying, but only because it's becoming everything. I watched footage of the shooter on the balcony. Jimmy Kimmel said it was like a window opened in hell. City hours limit consumption of themselves. Larger data zipped into a coin purse. Here's 28 minutes of weekly lingering prose. I read it and image follows, voiced confusion. Today I was all out of counterfeit titles. We're already in assumption, 28 minutes without commercial interruption. Now I consider commercials sociological, a way to research the population at large. Our feigned apathy pops only after the staph has infected a portion of the veins. Beyond all belief, I need one more thing, only blue transmission, after sunfall, closer to both Caroline and the line for gifts, food and non-alcoholic beverage. Stopped on Houston for a nice pic of rouge sky popping pearl inlaid moon. She's always equal to life support, the real deal, sex and the slurred gender. Dissembled the email, the tumbled id, this thing Ernesto questions, emerging photographers, superimposed voices, can't not listen to an entire notebook comes out, skinny lines and all, live stream mediocrity, boredom is always containable, even the arts part of it. McLuhan's difficult to the point of being wildly incorrect, but that's part of what makes reading him valuable. How little it makes sense but sometimes does is always challenging and occasionally rewarding. Grateful Studios, you've got this much live television. Paradise is no service. Banks Colonial right in my backyard. Use a different Rosalind on purpose. Is it autographed, the notebook pieces? The best lines get away with it. Action needn't take flight. It can be thumbtacked right here to the bedroom wall. All small in law and war. This is the cognition document. The little society within and apart. Shocking sex scenes, libertines, and then some, but for how long? It's a fake phone. Every time it goes to sleep, it dies. When will the rents break back, and would I even like it here if they did? Neither is reading experience nor listening. It's singing. Repeat after me. Seeking a headache, doctored freak. Those scrappy loft kids sitting on the floor, bare bulbs and scalped walls. Change comes a song at a time, trying and retrying obstinance on for size. The less correct Henry is about our willful obsequiousness. even after he didn't get that far. Ultimately, a cigar raconteur, Arthur opened fire with pastels, a meadow sprouting a rainbow. Train wheels sawed prairies in half. Check my balance every 3 months to make sure I'm not wearing the basement. Safety said she overdrew $20, afraid to look more than that, as I won't give thought to that which should not occupy. Utopia, derived from the Greek, translates literally as no place. An artist just lives drinking beer, that's all. Once on a call, I told Olivia I hated prose poetry or something. I can't remember what happened. Leave me alone. It is important to keep developing the romance, to fill it out, to stay in its research. The Beatles just put all their scraps out there. That's most of rock, undeveloped ideas, my favorite kind. The only? What I'm saying is not profound. The way I'm saying it is unhelpful. She came in through the bathroom window after a chunk of polythene Pam, mean Mr. Mustard, alliterative, unfinished weirdos. McCartney's enthusiasm, Ringo's oblong simplicity, George's soulful finesse. They are art because they look scary, honestly. Fate all the way along. Is there any chord progression? The formula is waiting to be successful. There are common factors. Solid gold DJs headquartered in the business park, but business is none of my business. The idea washes out after a few days. Flowers of St. Francis. I am still in love with my love after all these years. Twitter poet picks Twitter poet's book as staff recommendation at McNally Jackson. This is bourgeois information. Does the revolution start from the top down or in universities? In the future, eco-race wars between the educreative liberal techno elite and the resourceful, armed, pragmatic, violent masses, will the juggalos be our allies? There is no demilitarized social media. Your personality is your weapon and your vote in the new ethno-social charisma Olympics. Wish the prophet had made a better prediction, or no one saw this coming. Talent in the song optional. When the groove decontours, so devolves the sensual intimacy of its constituents. The state of the dance is the state of sex. So go fuck and dance tonight. Want all of life up in arms. All we need for cataclysm at this fulcrum is bad leadership. A few laps in, conscientious administration, and we're bay and track. This poem can't write fast enough. You know they use a size brush? What is the greatest thing you could do to prolong the life of life? Not go to the one thing you've canceled, an evening's meeting with a tulip. She was continuously based in sound, firm and wrapped in paper. You were going to make movies together, but douche culture ruined the city before you got the chance. Like most things, it was better when nobody wanted it. The late-night comedians performed the duties of the state, and people weren't wondering how to be people or if they ever were. Where life is life, how do they know? A forceful cauldron is wastrel dark. The night can't make any sound hold in place. You do the full reading as the city changes. A biography is not a script for the vacant actor of the self. Bird whose throat is stuffed with soda bottle collars. My boombox music goes beyond damaged. The sufferings and corruption of society's super conglomerate, nations, corporations, peoples, technologies, too multitudinous to be paid attention to. The wave of dream comes. It's just important to keep doing shows, throwing together bills and putting it on. Maybe write the poem to a 20-minute image track and read over top it later. Music oceans. Twitter feeds have much to do with it. Sincere complaint fended people off. Give the thumbs down. It's an internet citizen's right. If I actually wrote my writing, I wouldn't write that. I just pour everything out. It's very strange. No one's singing crystalline. They're too tired and caring to do so. Void her in the office. Capitalist bosses, count my minutes back to me. I like it when people use my email headings, their titles. You're not taking any UCB classes or anything? Douche culture is taking over our desirable metropolitan spaces, and they're ironically self-aware about it. A bro I know, finance major from UPenn, Snapchats his spiritual journey to the Hagia Sophia, Jordan, Lebanon, Israel, the marvel carved in the walls of the Crescent Valley where the Holy Grail is kept, in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, my favorite of the series, the one that was a comedy with James Bond as his father. Suddenly I remembered my Charlemagne. Let my armies be the rocks and the trees and the birds in the sky. Time is too short to make your art anything but life. Brooklyn, my region, anything but life. Headshots on the table, anything but life. Left a good first impression, anything but life. An hour-long walk is good homework, anything but life. I hate emails, I hate progress, anything but life. Detournament is a hassle. Just want to not get in the way. Freedom and comfort the standard. Your life is what you can pull together. You get dirty bathwater like 3 blocks away. The vibe of that was hell day to day. Stand in the prehensile smoke, artificial covering of toes, checking of boxes, humble brags across the sky. Should I be more paranoid about face recognition software? A life of epic and sixpence none the richer. The song is its momentum, is its purpose, its constant turning and variation, its form and melody. A mime troupe shaping a human bus and making it go. This bad poem really only works in the configuration of the book of bad poems, a few of its friends. If you didn't like this one, please keep reading. It will all make sense in the end, I promise. It's not meant to be written but said. It's not meant to be sung but thought. The secret is not limiting but continuing and going the notion you'll eventually get someplace, which is not really the fun part, especially when life is had that way, making little boxes of cookies and selling them out, marketing haiku in bulk. Bought the building in 1980 when the neighborhood was all tires and crack. Now get rich off millennials $1,000 a room a month apiece. Boomers own their children, wrote them a financial leash of debt. Death to anyone over 60 and fuck their possessions too. I've got an app where we can share and keep writing poems far into the night, this night and all others after. I like partying, dark clubs, good music, and dancing. Karaoke once a week depending where about town. As for NYC, the cool bounce to LA, upstate Detroit. Loudspeakers and drums kickstart the awareness. The body reaches into its globe and spins. Aliveness crackles with Egyptian reggae. Maybe not the best lyric, but a sincere cry for passion and joy. Hubbed beneath a philanthropist, we thank the money thrown upon us and gasp back all is taken in return. Did you know Allen Ginsberg coined the term flower power? What an ad man! Tagged a generation and it stuck. Going to Chinatown to see the fuck theory lectures every Sunday 4 p.m. winter into spring. Get a sexy porn art lit person to read an essay about the end of the world. You can't play Mungo Jerry 9 months a year out of the year. Was he named after the cat from Cats? The human gets old because they're interested in what's going on. It's so unfair we only get to live in one era. What if you're born in agonized suffering, senseless waste? Life often cleans itself with death. That's what we don't know yet. Atomic pressure. When I get my life just right, I sustain it. Why constant rebalancing? This invasion of tampering. A lot of Minnesotas. Let me age into my poem in unemployed tranquility. We could be cut off quite early. The city environs encompasses. Will not tread elsewhere till it gets its secret. As form grows into its own shadow. These streets belong to official business. Nowhere is there, like they thought Shakespeare. The less contacts, the better. Not to make the self, but to make the work. Toured the art world by bartending, fiddled about new approaches to form, solutions to age old inhibitions, noticed a lack and plethora there, produced a convoluted position and vantage, one window in a universe aspiring, writing every single minute it's not writing, living life in its own time.